أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Just to recapitulate where we left the discussion last time, we were basically discussing ayat number 4 of Surah Al-Fatiha, Malik Yawmiddin. And in that context, we had I had submitted that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed Surah Fatiha in five times prayer every day in every rakah. And he has used the phrase at another place as Sabah Masani. There must be some great reason for that, why we read it every time, but we don't open the door to the Quran. So, in that context, we had tried to open the door through Malik Yawmiddin. We were at this door, Malik Yawmiddin. And then we had discussed that there is a moral basis of creation, and morality requires responsibility. Responsibility requires accountability, and accountability requires recompense. All this philosophy starts from this surah, and then if we want to understand, it is why that surah, Sabah Masani, Surah Fatiha is repeated so many times every day, that we open the door into Quran and see there what is the philosophy of all these things which is given there. And in that context, we had seen that what is the purpose of all this arrangement of the universe, from morality to recompense. And we found that there is a purpose. The purpose is equilibrium, so that the universe remains in equilibrium. Similarly, there is a purpose that the social life remains in equilibrium. The family remains in equilibrium. And in equilibrium, we had found that there are two basic aspects through which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is maintaining this entire system, that is Qist and Adl. And we were discussing Adl. And in that context, we had given one example that Adl has a specific meaning in Quran. It is not the English translation of Nisf, justice, insaf, or some other things. Quran has its own meaning of Adl. And while discussing Adl, we had also pointed out in the context of family, for example, in the for the equilibrium of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I am maintaining with Qist and Adl. In the entire social life also, Qist and Adl. And in the context of family life, for example, between husband and wife in the family, we found that there's a tripod of relationship, and that tripod is equilibrium, not equality. And it consists of three things. One is equality, human equality. Husband and wife are equal as humans. Number two, darajat, differences, because there are physical, physiological, anatomical, gynecological, uh, psychological, biological differences. These are darajat. And then the third thing is adl. All these three things go together to make the equilibrium between husband and wife, equilibrium within the family. This is the concept. And while discussing adl, we found that though it is the institution of justice, very important institution of justice, that its purpose is to maintain the equilibrium. Now we are trying to understand justice, and we are adl. We are trying to understand adl, and we are moving forward. The main purpose of adl, now adl, the main purpose is to straighten the angularities. That is, to remove the unevenness in the system. Adl restores the evenness. Adl removes the angularities and reconciles conflicting uh, interactive forces in harmony. Adl also denotes meaning of scales, mizan. It establishes mizan. Adl cannot be achieved that we, for example, adl is required at a certain point of time, and at that time we run here and there, and we bring a scale, we assemble it at that time. The scale has to be there, it has to be established, and it must provide requisite evenness whenever anything happens. It should be available readily. The other meaning of adl is placement of a thing in its appropriate place. This is the meaning of adl. And opposite, which we translate as injustice, it has been defined as placement of a thing at a place other than its own. This is injustice. And the justice is placement of a thing in its place, adl. Adl, when we translate in English, it cannot be translated in one word, and its purpose or anything, it cannot be translated in one word. Now, it ensures balance and proportion. Balance and proportion, these are the two purposes of adl. There is beauty in balance and proportion of purpose in each product which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Any creation, it has beauty in its balance and proportion of purpose. Nothing is on the extreme. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed salah. There's no extreme uh, practice which has been encouraged or prescribed, not even encouraged. On the contrary, Prophet, peace be upon him, has also prohibited that one should not go to the extreme. So balance is the beauty, and then proportion of purpose with the system which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. It jealously safeguards, preserves, protects the mechanism which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. For example, immune system. As soon as the foreign body enters, kindly read The Quantum Healing written by Dr. Deepak Chopra. I think that is the simplest one and easiest one. That is why I'm mentioning it. Otherwise, there are many other books, but they are more complicated. For example, immune system. If any antibody, anything which is anti to the body, which is enemy to the body, enters the body, immediately there's a siren, there's a signal, there's a message. And if the most quick action is required, then there are rapid forces, there are special forces. They immediately rush to the place, and at the same time, they spread the information in the entire body to all the cells. And then they arrest that body. They neutralize that body. They drag that body into the laboratory, and then in the laboratory, it takes fractions of seconds, analyze, and they find out the chemical formula to neutralize it, to cure it, to kill it. And then that formula is provided to every cell, trillions of cells to the body, and entire body. And then every cell, every DNA has the capacity to produce that chemical, so that if the effect arrives there, or if there is any other army of those antibodies which enter the body, then they can face them locally. This immune system, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ, immediately. Quran tells it immediately comes into action, and it interacts with that onslaught. This is just one example. This is just to show that the system of balance and proportion which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, there is a safety in that. It jealously preserves itself. And there are many ayat. I'm just referring here, I'll not read those, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have appointed guards, I have appointed layers of protection, I have appointed protection upon protection. So these are different ayat. But I will take some time on this. Allazi khallaka fasawaka fa'addalaka. Because today we are discussing adl. Therefore, when we open the door, Malik Yawmiddin, Malik Yawmiddin, Deen led us to morality, responsibility, accountability, recompense, adl. What is adl? Adl is not only in the court, not only before the judge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created adl, as we have discussed, balance and proportion. Balance and proportion in everything, in every creation. And not only that, it has been created, but it has been even, it has been perfected. And then we are here today, we are concentrating on, in this item, in this discussion, which we are discussing now, on the adl which has been provided in the creation of a human being. Allazi khalaka, you, human being, who has evolved you, for sawaka, then he straightened you, he perfected you, and then adalaka, then he balanced you, proportioned you, and then in whatever surah he wanted, he established it. He gave it a permanence. And then Fahada, it provided a software instruction, as he provided to the honeybee, so that you can work accordingly, according to the qadr, according to your estimate, which has been provided in your body, so that you can work accordingly. But above all, it says, لَقَدْ خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Now, this I will try to explain just reference to one formula of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The formula of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so many, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you cannot count, you cannot write, even if all the oceans are made ink and all the trees are made pens, and even they are, aided with equal number or more number of oceans and trees to become pens and ink. And you cannot count the kalmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So out of those kalmat formula, I'm just referring to one. And that is a very small segment, a small portion of any kalma. There's something called golden ratio. And scientists say, it's not my finding, scientists say that it is the divine mathematical formula. Divine mathematical formula. Universe is written in mathematics. Other than it is written on a chip, Husyun. It is written on the Husyun, and those are arranged in the Kitab-ul Mubin, in the open book. That open book is written other the mathematical formula that provides beautiful structural basis, beauty and proportion of a structural basis on which all other aesthetics of the universe, of the body, of creation, of environment can be added on. Golden ratio is a constant. If we write it mathematically, it is 1.618. If we write it in a formula, this is a formula. And how we calculate it, I will not explain it, I'm just referring to it. Calculated by dividing a line segment into two parts, where the ratio of the longer part to the shorter part is equal to the ratio of the whole line segment to the longer part. Now, this I'll not go into explanation. This is the golden ratio. Now look at the golden ratio in the floor. Nothing is without a formula. There is nothing without the kalma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. DNA is a kalma written in ATCG. Everything other written in a formula. Look at the golden ratio in the flower. If this was a lecture on golden ratio, we would explain that how it is. You see the lines that people have calculated, that there's a golden ratio in every petal. Besides golden ratio, there are other numbers also, like Fibonacci numbers. So I'll not discuss this Fibonacci numbers today, just referring to golden ratio. Look at the golden ratio in a sunflower, in every seed, in every petal, in every point, there's a golden ratio. It's not without mathematics. It's not without formula. and everything in balance, everything in proportion. This is the physical demonstration of adl. If adl can be physically demonstrated, this is the physical demonstration of adl. But I'll show you more. I'll show you something. This is also a golden ratio. This is also golden ratio happening under the sea, happening in water, corals, for example. Lulu, wal marjan, everything on golden ratio. Now look at the mawaqi nujum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I'm not giving you any chart of the arrangement of the constellations, nujum in the universe. But when the scientists have tried to show these billions of stars, or just one segment of it, in a slide so that it can be explained, they find that there is a golden ratio in the arrangement of these stars in the universe, trillions of stars in the universe, they are arranged on the basis of the golden ratio. This is one of the formula. I said this is not the only formula. This is one of the formula in this golden ratio. An-najm wa-shajar yasjudan. From the stars to the stones, from stars to the flowers, from the stars to the herbage, everything is submitting to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالنَّجْمُ وَالشَّجَرُ يَسْجُدَانِ. They submit to the same law of the same lawgiver, one law. Whether it is a star, it is a stone, or it is a shajar, it is tree, it is herbage, or whatever. And we find that this principle is not only, as we saw in the flower, in the flower we saw golden ratio. We find golden ratio in the arrangement of the constellations, in the galaxies, everywhere. But there is one more, many more. For example, face, human face, adl, created on the basis of adl. Face width to the height of the face and its width. Every human being, 8 billion human beings, everyone has a golden ratio. And why? In every case, it is 1.618. The faces are different. Features are different. In 8 billion people, the features are completely different. Fingers, their print is different, but the golden ratio is the same. The golden ratio from mouth to nose and so on. Why it is 1.618 in every case in the creation, whether it is najm, whether it is shajar, whether it is stone, whether it is human being, whatever it is. And this golden ratio provides the epitome of beauty. This adl, this formula of adl is called the epitome of beauty. For example, distance between top of nose and center of the lips is 1.618. And then the distance between center of the lips and the chin, the same. Look at this photo. Look at the beauty. This is generated on golden ratio. These dots are created on the forehead. Dots are created. So how many dots are created on this side, for example, not in the entire eye, just on one side. And when you connect all these dots together, a beautiful photo is produced. What is Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa is considered to be one of the most beautiful pictures, paintings in the world. It is created on the basis of golden ratio. Adl. Adl is on the basis of golden ratio. Here, in everything, in the iris, in the eyes, in the lashes, in the nose, in the cheeks, in the forehead, in the hair, in the nose and the lips and everything, there's a golden ratio. Golden ratio is widely used today. It is used in art, in design, in architecture, in visually balanced compositions, harmonious proportions. But the point is, who created this constant 1.618? Why the pi is always equal to 22 upon 7? Why there are 13 constants which scientists use in in different formula? Why? Adl. When you close your fist, again it is based on adl. My fingers, 3 digits, the ratio of my fingers, the ratio of every digit to the finger, the ratio of the fingers to the palm, the ratio of palm to the lower arm, ratio to the upper arm. This is all on the principle of golden ratio. Golden ratio has also been used to analyze proportions of natural objects. Today, it is being used in financial markets, in stock exchanges, in share market, credit cards, books, furniture. Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci, it was produced on golden ratio. Hurricane. Hurricane is built up by golden ratio. Look into the eye of the hurricane, it is based on golden ratio. Every seed head, flower petals, all the petals of, for example, rose. This ratio provides beauty, not only beauty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have not created the word laiban. I have not created batilan, not for fun. It is not just for beauty, not just for beauty. It's beauty and its function, so that it functions according to the purpose, function, and reveals how wise, good, and powerful the Creator is. I advise people that marriage is not beauty. It should not be on the basis of fondness. Marriages which take place on the basis of fondness, they fail. Marriage is a means to create a family, not fondness. Fondness is vanishing. Today, one is beautiful, appears beautiful. Tomorrow, he or she will not be with time. Fondness will vanish, but it's only the family. If that is the purpose, or that is the founding purpose, the family will flourish, it will rise. So, the basis for making a marriage is making a family, not fondness. Fondness is vanishing, it's fleeting. In natural structures, this divine proportion, that is golden ratio 1.618, found almost everywhere in everything. Aesthetically, it is all aesthetically pleasing. Beauty may have different definitions. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. One person may consider something beautiful and the other may not like it at all. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that along with that, I have created another feature in that, another quality, that is, it is pleasing. It pleases you. That beauty pleases you. I think I have taken about more than half an hour. Now then, disequilibrium is equally important subject, and it will go, but I think I will not take more time, so let me complete it here with disequilibrium, so the next time I don't discuss. If I take next time, then I will devote the whole lecture to disequilibrium. So I'm just concluding it in one paragraph. Disequilibrium, again, with reference to verse number 4 of Surah Al-Fatiha, and as a corollary to the discussion of equilibrium, which we have discussed now, disequilibrium also needs to be discussed, but we are not discussing, I'm just pointing out. The Quran has identified and explained the activities, that is, misdeeds, which disrupt or disturb the equilibrium. This is why the Malik Yawmiddin will judge on that day, that who disturbed the equilibrium. Why he disturbed equilibrium? What were the consequences? Who else was affected? Everybody will be recompensated. And these have been identified some of the most important points of disequilibrium. I think these are very relevant to discuss in Malik Yawmiddin, in the phrase Yawmiddin, in Deen. But I'm just pointing out, for example, the most important, which I have been summarized, is Zulm. What is the technical meaning of this? Not in proper form, not in order. Something which creates disorder, which is against the form. Tughyan, excess or over and above the proper measure. Tughyan. Israf, wastage. Tabzir, misuse. Ifsad, disorder. I'tida, udwan. Both these mean going beyond one's bounds. Now, if we these write down somewhere in our daily life, am I committing zulm? Am I committing tughyan? Am I committing israf? Am I committing tabzir? And so on, so that I can save myself from questioning on the day of judgment, Yawmuddin, because I carry responsibility. I'm accountable because there is a moral basis of my creation. All these activities are the cause of severe admonition in the Quran. When we go there and we look at these, when we open the door through Malik Yawmiddin, go into Quran, we have discussed the positive side, Adl, and now we are discussing the negative side, disequilibrium. And in this, that we have identified, I have identified these, maybe you identify more. There may be more and must be more. And these are the points on which one will be questioned on the day of judgment. We make out that list and we try to understand that Malik Yawmiddin, what he will do on that day. All these activities have been admonished in Quran. And the reference is Surah Fatiha, Ayat 4, which takes us into the Quran. The verdict of history has been explained in verse number 7. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Maghdub and Dalin, based on the immutable and equitable laws of balancing and sustaining of all creation words. That is ayat number 2. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I leave it here, and next time, Allah willing, we will take up another. Otherwise, I think if we discuss this disequilibrium, that why will be questioned on the day of judgment, it will take us weeks. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم أوزعنا أن نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علينا وعلى والدينا وأن نعمل صالحا ترضاه. اللهم اصلح لنا في ذريتنا إنا تبنا إليك وإننا من المسلمين. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم فضلك ورحمتك على كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. O Allah, purify our heart, strengthen our faith, increase our knowledge, and make us benefit from what you have taught us. O Allah, forgive our parents and our friends and relatives who have passed away. O Allah, grant them your mercy, make their graves guarded from heaven, and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. O Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aisha Wani, our brother Azzam's grandson. O Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them and make them righteous. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren who are under oppression. Oh Allah, grant them victory, heal their trauma, protect their helpless, and grant them lasting peace and prosperities. Oh Allah, we ask you every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.